Today, our topic is how to manage anger like a Stoic. Anger is a powerful emotion. It can feel like a fire burning inside you, making it hard to think clearly or act wisely. But the Stoics, ancient philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, believed that anger is not something we must surrender to. Instead, they taught that we can learn to control it, to understand it, and to use it wisely. This is not easy, but it is possible. Let me explain how the Stoics approached anger and how you can apply their wisdom in your own life. First, the Stoics believe that anger is a choice. This might sound strange because when we feel angry, it feels automatic, like something that happens to us. But the Stoics argued that anger is not the event itself, it is our judgment about the event. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you might feel angry. But the Stoics would say that the anger is not caused by the driver cutting you off. The anger is caused by your thoughts about it. You might think, how dare they do that to me? They have no respect. Those thoughts, not the event, are what create the anger. So, the first step in managing anger like a Stoic is to recognize that you have control over your thoughts. You cannot control what others do, but you can control how you respond. This is a powerful idea because it means you are not a victim of your emotions. You have the power to choose how you react. The Stoics also believe that anger often comes from unmet expectations. We get angry when things don't go the way we want them to. For example, if you expect your friend to be on time and they are late, you might feel angry. But the Stoics would ask, why did you expect them to be on time? People are often late. Traffic happens. Life is unpredictable. By lowering your expectations, you can reduce your anger. This does not mean you should expect the worst all the time. It simply means you should accept that life is full of surprises, both good and bad. When you stop expecting everything to go perfectly, you will feel less frustrated and angry when things go wrong. Another important Stoic idea is to pause before you react. When you feel anger rising, take a moment to breathe and think. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, said, "The best remedy for anger is delay." When you pause, you give yourself time to calm down and think clearly. In that moment, you can ask yourself questions like, is this worth getting angry about? Will this matter in a week or a year? What is the best way to handle this situation? By taking a pause, you can avoid saying or doing something you might regret later. The Stoics also believed in focusing on what you can control. Many things in life are beyond your control: other people's actions, the weather, traffic, and so on. But you can control your own actions, your thoughts, and your attitude. When you focus on what you can control, you feel more empowered and less angry. For example, if someone insults you, you cannot control what they say, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to ignore the insult, to respond calmly, or to walk away. By focusing on your own actions, you take back control of the situation. Another Stoic technique is to practice empathy. When someone makes you angry, try to see things from their perspective. Maybe they are having a bad day. Maybe they are dealing with problems you don't know about. By trying to understand their situation, you can feel more compassion and less anger. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reminded himself to think about the struggles of others. He wrote, "When someone does you wrong, immediately consider what good or harm they thought would come of it. Once you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than anger." Empathy does not mean you have to agree with the person or excuse their behavior. It simply means you try to understand why they acted the way they did. This understanding can help you let go of anger and respond more calmly. The Stoics also believed in practicing gratitude. When you feel angry, it can help to think about the good things in your life. Anger often makes us focus on what is wrong, but gratitude helps us remember what is right. For example, if you are angry because your boss criticized your work, take a moment to think about the things you are grateful for: your health, your family, your friends, or even the fact that you have a job. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. It reminds you that life is not perfect, but it is still good. This shift in perspective can help you feel more at peace and less angry. Another Stoic practice is to reflect on the bigger picture. When you feel angry, ask yourself, how does this fit into the grand scheme of my life? Will this matter in the long run? Often the things that make us angry are small and temporary. By reminding yourself of the bigger picture, you can put your anger into perspective. For example, if someone is rude to you at the store, ask yourself, will I even remember this next week? Probably not. By zooming out, you can see that the situation is not as important as it feels in the moment. This can help you let go of the anger and move on. The Stoics also believed in preparing for challenges. They called this premeditation of evils. This means thinking about the difficulties you might face and how you will handle them. For example, if you know that traffic makes you angry, you can prepare yourself by leaving early, listening to calming music, or reminding yourself that traffic is a normal part of life. By preparing for challenges, you can reduce your anger when they happen. This does not mean you should expect the worst all the time. It simply means you should be ready for the ups and downs of life. Finally, the Stoics believed in the importance of self-discipline. Managing anger requires practice and effort. It is not something you can master overnight. But with time and dedication, you can get better at it. Every time you feel angry, see it as an opportunity to practice Stoic principles. Pause, reflect, and choose your response wisely. Over time, you will find that you feel less angry and more in control. Remember, the goal is not to never feel anger. The goal is to manage it in a way that aligns with your values and helps you live a better life. In conclusion, managing anger like a Stoic is about understanding that anger is a choice. Lowering your expectations, pausing before you react, focusing on what you can control. Practicing empathy and gratitude, reflecting on the bigger picture, preparing for challenges, and developing self-discipline. These practices are not easy, but they are powerful. By applying Stoic wisdom, you can learn to manage your anger and live a more peaceful, fulfilling life. Remember, anger is not your enemy, it is a signal that something needs your attention. By responding to it wisely, you can turn it into a tool for growth and understanding. This is the way of the Stoic.